welcome to Shree Learning Academy. Today's focus is on virtualization vulnerabilities. And just a reminder, if you would like one-on-one training, we offer private sessions. Connect with us on WhatsApp. Let's jump right in. Starting with what virtualization even means. Imagine you have one big powerful computer. Normally, you would run one operating system on it like Windows or Linux and just use that. But with virtualization, we can split that one physical computer into many virtual computers. These are called virtual machines or VMs for short. Each VM can run its own operating system and apps just like a real computer. So from the outside, it might look like you have got 5 or 10 computers, but really it's just one machine doing a lot of multitasking. This is great for saving money and space. Companies don't need to buy as many physical machines. They just use one server and run multiple virtual environments on it. But here's the thing, while virtualization is super efficient, it's not perfect. Just like any technology, it can have weaknesses, and these are called virtualization vulnerabilities. Now let's get into two of the main ones you should know about. First up is something called VM escape. This one sounds a little dramatic, and honestly, it kind of is. VM escape is like when someone breaks out of jail. Let's say you are running a few virtual machines on a server. Each one is supposed to stay in its own little world. They shouldn't be able to see or touch what's going on in the other VMs. And they definitely shouldn't be able to mess with the main system, which is called the host. But with VM escape, an attacker finds a way to break out of their virtual machine and reach the host system. From there, they might be able to control all the other VMs too. That's a big problem. To make this clearer, let's say you run a hosting service. You let customers rent virtual machines on your servers. Each customer gets their own VM to use however they like, maybe to run websites or store files. One day, a bad actor rents a VM, and using a special trick, maybe a bug in the virtualization software, they escape from their VM and access the host. Once they are on the host, they can peek into other people's VM, steal data, or even shut things down. That's why VM escape is considered one of the most serious threats in virtual environments. The whole idea of virtualization depends on isolation, keeping each VM separate. Once that wall is broken, things can go downhill fast. There have been real-world examples of this too. One of the most well-known was a vulnerability discovered in 2017 called CVE 2017-5715. Which was part of the larger Spectre and Meltdown bugs. These issues allowed programs to read memory they weren't supposed to. In some cases, attackers could jump from one VM to another or even reach the host. So how do we prevent VM escape? Well, the first step is keeping your virtualization software up to date. Most of these escapes happen because of the bugs in the code, and software companies usually patch those bugs when they are found. Also, limiting what users can do inside a VM helps. If someone doesn't have permission to install or run certain programs, they are less likely to find a way to break out. Alright, that's VM escape. Now let's talk about another issue that's a bit more subtle but still dangerous. This one's called resource reuse. To explain this, let's go back to a big server with multiple VMs. Each VM uses system resources like memory, storage, and even network access. When a VM shuts down or gets deleted, those resources go back into the pool so other VMs can use them. Now here's where the problem starts. What if the system doesn't fully wipe the data from those resources before reusing them? Let's say one VM writes some sensitive data into memory like passwords or financial records and then shuts down. If that memory is reused by another VM, and that second VM can read the leftover data, that's a big privacy issue. To put this out in a real-world example, imagine staying at a hotel. You check out of your room, and before the hotel cleans it, someone else checks in. And they find out that some belongings of you like a used hotel notepad or a credit card receipt are still there. That wouldn't just be uncomfortable, it would be downright dangerous. That's what resource reuse can feel like in the digital world. Attackers can take advantage of this if the virtualization system isn't careful. They might spin up new VMs repeatedly, hoping to land in memory space that was used by someone else. And if they find traces of leftover data, they might be able to reconstruct it. Even if it's just pieces, clever attacker might be able to pull together important info. This kind of issue has been seen in some cloud environments where virtual machines are created and destroyed all the time. If proper cleaning isn't done, it opens the door to what's called data remanence, or the leftovers of data that should have been erased. So what can we do about resource reuse? Again, it comes down to good practices. Virtualization platforms need to make sure that any time memory or storage is released, it gets securely wiped. Not just marked as free but actually overwritten so no one can recover the old data. It's kind of like shredding a document instead of just throwing it in the trash. There are also tools and settings that can enforce this. For example, some hypervisors, the software that manages virtual machines, have options to clear memory when a VM is shut down. Cloud providers also build in security measures to prevent one customer from seeing data from another. But nothing is perfect, and that's why it's important to be aware of the risk. Now let's try both of these ideas together, VM escape and resource reuse. Imagine a situation where a clever hacker first escapes from the VM and then starts scanning through the memory and storage used by the other VMs. If the system isn't wiping that data, the attacker could end up collecting all kinds of sensitive information from passwords to private conversations to company secrets. It's a worst case scenario, but it's the kind of thing security experts have to think about every day. That's why understanding virtualization vulnerabilities is so important. These aren't just abstract concepts, they affect real systems, real businesses, and real people. But the good news is that these risks can be managed. By keeping systems updated, configuring hypervisors carefully, and following best practices for security, companies can greatly reduce the chances of a problem. Also, users can play a role too. If you are running virtual machines even on your own computer for testing or development, be careful about what software you install. Be mindful of permissions and make sure your VM tools are up to date. Security isn't just the responsibility of one team or one person. It's something we all need to think about. And here's one last thing to remember. Virtualization is a powerful tool. It powers cloud computing, testing environments, game servers, you name it. But like any powerful tool, it needs to be used carefully. Knowing about these vulnerabilities doesn't mean you should avoid virtualization. It just means you should respect it and treat it with the caution it deserves. So whether you are managing data centers or just curious about how cloud computing works, understanding things like VM escape and resource reuse helps you make smarter decisions and keep systems safer for everyone. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you are looking for more personalized training, contact us on WhatsApp. We offer a range of theoretical and practical courses starting at just $99. You can also find a written explanation and a quiz on our website, link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe for more useful videos and feel free to ask any questions in the comments. We are here to help. See you in the next one.